Hello.
Hello, are we live?
We are,
Whoa, surprise attack.
right?
Let everyone filter in here. We started a minute early. Oh. Hello. You guys didn't even have a chance to start betting on how late we are.
Haha.
Beat you to it. Sorry. Just messing around. I will update my computer tomorrow, I promise. Isn't that a mood right there?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I swear I'll do it the next day and the next day.
And the next day, and the next day, and then a year later, you haven't even backed up your PC. Hello everyone, surprise attack. Hello June. Hello Noah. Hello Ace. Hello Rocky Soup. Hello little art devil lad. Bitter cake. Rocky Soup again. Rocky Soup a third time. Daria. Other people. Ewan 8-bit. Hello and hi, and welcome to the last stream of the decade.
What?
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Our next
don't
stream
like
is going to be
that.
on January the 4th, and we will be doing a commission stream again. So that is $1 a minute USD through Super Chat or through Streamlabs. Super awesome. Get your art from Ursula. We're going to be adjusting how much patrons pay because the double thing was a little too much. But yeah, that's going to happen January 8th. Today is the critique stream. If you want critiqued, it's too late. It's $8 per critique per month on Patreon. So next month sign up. We'll be doing it again in January. And I printed out your guys' scripts because I had a migraine, so I couldn't look at it. Last night I was looking at it because I did it last minute. And yeah, I had to print it all out and staple it, and I feel like a teacher.
And he was talking about getting out his red pen next time to take notes.
I probably should. I do poorly by you when I do this. I'm sorry, I keep forgetting to answer all your questions because you send me them, and I'm like, my brain is a large fart. Just a continual farty noises. Bones has first copy of Pixel Jars. Oh, I didn't print off that one. I just printed off the scripts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have your thumbnails.
I was able to look at your comic in the morning once my migraine went away. Bones is a large fart. Thank you. Just now is such a mood. All right. So Ursula's going to start the critique thing with 2 critiques for you people who did art stuff. And then I'll take over and do one of the scripts. And then Ursula will do 2 again. And hopefully that will save our voices. And I totally won't be just staring at the catacombs the whole time.
He's been obsessed, guys. You've awoken something in him.
You have reawoken my love of the catacombs. No, it's just because we're on vacation now. That's why we can't stream next week. Is because we're going to be out of town. But yeah, I just was like, oh man, haven't done this in forever. Better get us through.
Heck yeah.
Because I want to do the rehaul of the server. And I need to get through the catacombs to do so.
You have to reset the universe.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've all been obsessed. Hell yeah. I'm very stressed for this because I'm okay with y'all tearing apart my art, but I'm not sure writing critique will go.
Oh no. Don't worry.
Don't worry.
You're done good, all y'all.
All right. So who is the first victim?
So Krell asked if they could go first. Well, they asked if they could go early on. I don't know if they're here, though.
I see.
So.
Hey, Junior screwed. Everyone's working so hard to get the universe reset to end billionaires in the cat economy. I've even looked at the leaderboards recently.
Survive the critique, TM. Oh, you are here? Okay. Oh, right. I forgot your name is Noah on YouTube's. Okay. So we'll do this. We'll do yours first. You can go hang out with your fam.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apologies as my computer takes forever.
I've been overtaken by Mark? How? Sorry. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Okay. So the note says... Oh, sorry. I should start the timer.
Yeah.
So it's 7 minutes per piece, right?
Yeah, 7 minutes per piece.
Okay. I'll just talk about all of these at once, so I'll just set a long timer.
There you go.
Okay. So maybe some critique on perspective would be nice. I'm new to it. If there's any extra time, advice on how to talk about Patreon to readers. I feel like people who read my comic are younger, so they might not be able to have Patreon. But I'm close to hitting a number. Be moving to doing short comics once my husband as a werewolf is finished. And focusing on school for a while. Any tips on growth and plans would be appreciated. Okay. Okay, so I'll start with the perspective critique, and then maybe we can talk a little bit about growth and stuff, which is a tough one. Okay. So. The perspective, honestly, you've done a nice job with all the perspective stuff going on. Like everything looks very, very structured, very, you don't have anything that is like way too extreme of an angle. Like it's all been laid out to look very natural, as if like you're looking at something through like a camera angle, like a flat camera angle, I guess. And it works really well with your characters. They feel very integrated into the background, which is really great. Like looking up here where they're on the bench and stuff, I find, yeah, I really like how this character here is integrated into it. It feels like he's laying on the bench, and he's placed really well. There's a bit of a major merger going on here, and a major merger is when two objects, I guess, intersect within a composition, where they basically like touch in a weird way that creates an illusion that they're like connected or on the same plane. So right here, let's see. So right here specifically, just the way that the line of the bench is touching his chest, it looks as if they're connected. Yeah, tangents. Yes, exactly. Thank you, June. So it creates a tangent here where they look like they're on the same plane. It kind of takes away from him looking more 3D and obviously sitting on top of the bench. Another place where you do the overlap and show they're on different planes really well is like his little leg overhang here, where you can tell like he's on top of it, and you get more of a sense of how the bench works in 3D space. So I think just like moving him up more, or perhaps like pulling back the bench a little bit, would just help fix that tangent real quick. I also find that let's see. Small thing, his hand here is a little big in perspective compared to like the rest of him. That's like a tiny little nitpick. I didn't even notice it for a bit. I also like the perspective you got going on in this bottom panel, where it's from overhead, and I think you've overlapped the different body parts really well, so you can tell that they're everything looks in proportion and all in good perspective and stuff. I also noticed a tiny little perspective issue down here on the stairs, because just judging from like I think it looks fine here on the big like steps going on here, but I find right here on the steps I think we're getting too much of a high angle on the stairs cuz our eye level is like up here. Oh no, sorry, my mistake. Cuz it feels like the eye level is like down here. So we wouldn't be seeing the tops of these stairs here. They'd likely be straight on, or maybe looking at them from below, I guess, similar to like up here. But yeah, so I just double check on that, see if how the perspective works there, because it feels a little bit weird to me. It makes it look, it's got a weird illusion where it looks like the stairs are like tilted up ways like this instead of having like stairs like this. So yeah, it's always good to check that out and check your eye lines. Yeah, because that can help a lot, is just placing your camera, because wherever your like camera is in 3D space is where the eye line is, and then you can figure out where your horizon is and your vanishing points. But yeah, overall, well done. Bones, I'm getting a call from your stepdad.
Oh.
I'll call him back.
I'll text them.
Okay.
Okay.
But yeah, overall, nice work. I like the flow in a lot of these panels. I really like it here with this guy's little face peering back. It's a really cute shot. And I do like how you've integrated environments into a lot of it, while taking away background elements when it's more like focused on, say, like character interaction or like a little quiet moment, or a small expression. Like it's a really nice balance between where to put in backgrounds and where not to. I think you've done that really well. And the expressions are lovely. I like your line work. It feels very delicate and sweet and really fits the tone of the comic. There are a couple small little composition things that feel a little weird to me. Overall, your flow is very good. Like, it's very easy to tell like where you need to look next. However, there are some small little nitpicks I have for it. One would be this panel. His eye line kind of brings you over here. Because, like, admittedly, the angle of his face and everything does push this way, but I think there's just that conflict of his eyes looking away, throwing you off the page, where you could maybe bring his eye line down. I'm not sure. You'd have to play around with it and see what works. But that feels a little weird. I also find that this bottom panel feels like it's been cropped very, very close to what's happening. Because, like, I can tell that he's sitting up to go nuzzle with this guy. But, like, I think it needs to be pulled back a little bit so you can tell more of what's going on. Just to get those little details of, like, you know, him sitting up or whatever. I would probably expand it out quite a bit more, so you can see maybe like details of the characters and stuff. Yeah, and just bring it in more, or sorry, pull it out more so that you can understand more of the action that's going on, just to make it even more clear, because clarity always helps. I think it would also help that from feeling claustrophobic, because it does feel very like tight in. But otherwise, I find the shots are all very balanced with like close-ups and having like pulled out shots to show like different emotions and stuff. Like, I like how it's pulled out so you can see that they're getting closer together, and then it closes in on their faces. to show kind of like that little intimate, quiet moment, which is really nice. Ooh,
woo.
ooh. And same with the last page. Like, you've got a really good balance between like different shots. And I really like this end panel. It's really sweet. Even though you're not seeing their faces, you get kind of this like wistful, sweet feeling, just from the lighting and the composition and stuff. It's really cute. You've also got like really nice contrast going through it. Like obviously the palette, I guess, is like pretty light, but you still have good contrast between like the darks and lights. It's not all, mid-tone or too dark or too light. You've got a good variety of values going on. Yeah, overall nice work. Lots of good leading lines, especially with those backgrounds going on, which really help with flow, kind of directing your eye around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're running out of things to say.
Yeah, I'm like, it's all good. It's all good.
It's okay to end early. Like,
that's true.
You can ask them if they have any more questions.
True, yeah. Noah, do you have any questions about stuff you'd like to know or anything I didn't cover? And I can also talk a little bit about like growth and stuff, or maybe Bones can jump in.
I don't know. What is the question?
So the question was, so it sounds like they're trying to work to get more readership and get followers on Patreon or supporters on Patreon.
Aren't you like a marketing expert or something? Like, isn't that your job title?
I guess so. Heck.
I bow to thine expertise.
Oh no.
I don't know. You gotta ask people to join. Like, even if they're all just kids, you might as well just ask, because if they're not kids, it's fine. They can join your Patreon, right? Because the thing is, you shouldn't feel guilty about plugging your Patreon or anything like that, or your book or whatever, because a lot of the times people end up being mad at you because they didn't hear about a thing, just as much as people get mad at you for spamming a thing. And the people who are mad at you for spamming a thing, like, who needs them anyways? They were never going to buy anything.
True.
Yeah. And especially with your, like, if you're an indie creator, like, no one cares. No. It's fine. It's fine to promote. Go right ahead and be like, hey, Patreon, I have one. Please help us continue this comic.
Yep.
Yeah. Just don't do things that are like pressuring children and making them feel bad, and you should probably be fine.
No, yeah, because if you're just saying like, hey, I have a Patreon, you should check it out if you want to help support me. Like, there's nothing wrong with saying that.
Yeah. Yeah, you play into the little indie artist thing. You're like, it's a lot of work to make a comic, and I don't make any money doing this. So any dollar you send via Patreon helps me out a whole bunch.
Exactly.
Because it really does. And I love all of you patrons. Thank you for pledging.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, just make sure that your links to your Patreon are visible. It does. I know I personally find it frustrating when I find a creator I like and I'm trying to find links to like any of their stuff or to go support them. Like, and I can't find it because it's not like on any of their social. It's not on their website.
Don't be embarrassed to have links to things on your site or on your portfolio or anything. Don't be ashamed of that stuff.
Yep. Just link to it everywhere and advertise it frequently.
Yeah.
Yeah, because honestly, sometimes the algorithm doesn't show people stuff. So
yeah,
you gotta put it out there multiple times before they actually see it. And they're like, what? You have a Patreon?
I know. It took me like a year to realize one of my friends had a Patreon. I'm like, what? Right? You're doing this?
What?
How did I not know?
Just because you don't see the post. So heck yeah. I hope that helps, and I hope you get lots of supporters.
Speaking of plugging things,
Oh,
vlog
no.
channel. It's not in the description. Just look up McKay and Gray Vlogs. You'll find it.
Yes.
Please support us. I did a rant about Promare.
Right.
I want to see cats and do a rant about that.
Please, I want to see cats so bad.
Okay, sorry. Okay. Do you have any questions? Sorry.
Yes. Do you have any
Beyond that.
questions about anything? Still have 5 minutes on the clock.
Goes quiet.
As we wait.
Cats.
Plug your Patreon by always mentioning it in an awkward and jokey fashion. Exactly.
Exactly.
Just ham it up.
Just make it look like if you feel guilty, just ironically be guilty about it all the time, and you'll be good. You're like, I'm so sorry to say this, but I have a Patreon and I am dying. Script advice?
What kind of script advice are you looking for?
Once I do voiceovers, I'll start off by give me money. No, you gotta say like, comment, and subscribe.
Exactly.
Speaking of which, who is here and hasn't liked? You know, I don't care if you dislike or like. I need something on this video. Okay, I know we're already making money off of this video, but do we not deserve to be basked with love by the YouTube algorithm? The algorithm is a god that can only be appeased by likes, comments, and subscribes. So appease the god in our favor. Thank you. Welcome to my TED Talk. We have a couple hours left.
How do you plan? Like, how do you plan out a script? I was gonna like, but now I'm not. Damn it, June.
It's okay. Gino already gave us money.
True.
Planning a script is hard. That sounds like a video topic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we might not have enough time to talk about that here.
Yeah, if you have any script stuff, you can submit it for review, because I do review scripts.
True.
And it helps to give you specific advice about the stuff you got.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Bones, can you plug me in? I'm at 18%. Sorry, you just batted the power plug away. Far away. I will once I can. Okay.
No problemo.
Yeah, I'm sorry we can't be more helpful on the script side.
I mean, I have a whole bunch of videos on like planning and stuff that you should be able to find. All the lovely people should help you out. Yeah. Everyone seems to know my videos better than I do, because I got a lot out.
Got a few comics I've got to do later. I'll submit. Okay. Okay, cool.
All right.
Yeah.
On to the next one.
Okay. Thank you for submitting.
Whomst is next?
Whomst is next. Okay. So we have a few options.
You have a few options. I don't care. I'm next.
Okay, I saw JK is here. Do you want to do your stuff, JK?
JK.
JK. Where do we submit? So you have to sign up on our Patreon on the $8 tier. And then next month you will be able to submit your piece for the critique
If you
stream.
if you pay early, we'll do like a double critique for you. But
Yeah.
if not, you can just wait for
Oh, Ace needs to go?
Ace needs to go.
Okay, we'll do Aces. If you got a party to run to, we'll do yours. You gotta do your work, Bone.
I don't want to work.
Sorry, JK. We'll do yours right after.
How long do I have on the clock for this? It's like 50. I don't know. I probably won't talk that long. I'm kind of dumb.
I'll set a 14
Sorry,
minute
I don't
timer.
mean dumb. That's a bad word.
Yeah.
I'm kind of ignorant and slow.
Okay, go ahead, Bones. Do your thing.
Oh, I don't know how to do this. Okay. So I
Everyone-
read the script by Ace last night. And it was good. I liked the sassiness of Pierce.
Agreed.
I think that Pierce was very sassy, and I like the characterization, and I can very much, it helps knowing kind of what the characters looked like in my mind. And it was a very fast read, uh, because you have the real sparse descriptions like I do, which I like. Um, I'm always so negative, so like I immediately want to go to criticism, but I want to say all the things I like first. Okay, um, it's interesting. Sorry, that's a horrible. It's actually interesting. Um, I I am excited and intrigued. I like a lot of the concepts, and I would be very excited to see how these kind of how you play with the characters in the visual aspect, because I know what your style looks like, and I think that will be exciting. Um, as far as criticisms go, um, I found it was very fast paced, and sometimes that was good. I think between scenes, between pages, I think the pages were very nicely paced, but I think the scenes went a little too fast, and um, kind of they didn't quite end, more that they kind of stopped. I didn't always feel a full arc to each scene. Um, like I was fine with it with the dream sequence, because dreams kind of an abrupt feel to them, and like Miles wakes up from the dream, and it's fine to kind of just end there, because it is more of a teaser more than like a laid out scene. Oh, I did like how you suggest kind of what Rowan's not Rowan, Miles's life is like, um, and how you kind of casually note that he is like in his 20s. I thought that was a very natural way to build in like world building, not world building, but character building, to be like, oh, heck, he's 20 and he's being treated like a child. I thought that was very natural and a very good way to go about doing it. Um, but yeah, back to like the scenes feeling kind of quick. Um, it felt. I think the big issue is I feel like you moved very quickly into inciting incident, because when Pierce shows up, it has all of the trappings of an inciting incident. Um, where it's literally the Harry, you're a wizard kind of scene. It's like, oh, you're actually magical, and you were uh we knew each other, and all of this like revelations and stuff. But I don't feel like I've quite established myself in the world, in the characters, and understand like what the state of normalcy is before we move into the plotty aspects with Pierce. Like it's really exciting to get to Pierce, but it felt like we got there very quickly, and I would have liked to see um, more of Rowan and Miles's life, a little more of how Miles feels and relates to their life, because it is a bit confusing, because it does happen within a few pages. Yeah. And yeah, and then a similar thing happens in the last scene, where Pierce does show up, and I am a bit confused, because Pierce shows up, and then he talks for a bit, he reveals everything, and then he just leaves, and it felt very abrupt. I didn't quite understand Pierce's motivation. I think if you're willing to give a lot of this information very quickly, it'd be nice to build Pierce up a bit in like this is just a suggestion. You don't necessarily have to do this, but like set up his motivations before moving into um the scene where he busts into the house and does all the things. Like I understand a sense of mystery too, if that's what you would prefer to do, but it just doesn't quite make sense, and it feels off. That might be what you're going for, but I can easily see it being perceived as like just kind of confusing, I guess. What was that sentence? But Does that make sense? I don't know. Do you have any more questions? Do you have any questions now that I got the bulk of it out of my mouth?
That makes sense. Maybe I should have chapter 1 just be intro, and it was meant to be like he's trying to get Miles to decide to come with them.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It seems like you're writing. Sorry, this is like a Lul scene for me.
Oh, the little scenes.
There's characters that are like that it tends to be kind of difficult to write them on the first draft because they're kind of meant to be a little coy, and it gets a little too coy to the point where it's confusing. So yeah, I might push things a bit more into the obvious direction, like explain things a bit more. Or also, I think now that I think about it, I think if you do set up Miles more and give him a much more strong want, and Pierce shows up and can fulfill that want in some sort of way, where he's like, I want, like the classic one is a Disney princess one, right? Where Miles is a Disney princess and he wants more, he wants adventure, and then Pierce shows up and he's like, here's more, here's adventure, and Pierce is, and Miles is then like, oh whoa, and it's a lot. You make the connection a lot more, like, oh wow, here's the escape. But I don't think I know enough about Miles to fully believe that he's gonna leave with this guy, especially when a lot of like the Rowan manipulation is just in the dream, and it comes across that Miles hasn't quite understood. It doesn't seem like Miles has put two and two together, at least from the script. Yeah.
Yeah.
I skimmed the script and I agree with it all so far. Use that actual script. Also, you might be okay. Another thing with kind of the short descriptions, it is a bit confusing to follow what everyone is doing and what they're thinking. Yeah. It's very bereft of descriptions, and it'd be nice if you like expanded on what things are, just for like if you're showing it to people's sake.
Yeah, because if you're writing a script for yourself, it can be really quick, just shorthands.
Yeah.
But if you're working with like a partner or something, then you.
Or if you're showing people,
Yeah.
it does get a bit confusing about what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's also just good for like kind of a note to yourself, like to remind you that all of this stuff is important. But either way, it's good. I liked it. I think it will go great for you.
Yeah.
Make a little scribbly comic and yeet. I feel like I wrote too much description. I'd have trouble drawing them, but I can do it more in the future. Yeah, I think with description, for me, I like to leave it open-ended too for Ursula to be able to draw.
Also, when you get specific, I just ignore it.
Yeah, exactly. Like you don't have to be super specific, but I've noticed this in who was the other one who submitted script?
V.
Yeah, sorry, my dyslexia, just all your names blend together. But V does these things that I do too, where it's like it might be something like this or kind of like this, like the big descriptions where they're like, it's like a bar. It's got flashing lights, or maybe it doesn't. It just looks run down. Just like even like hints at description are perfectly fine. It's just there was a lot of times where I didn't even know what room people were in, so it was a bit hard to follow along. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So I can talk about the visual aspect that you submitted for it.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So you submitted 3 little option-y things. So one was like a color style mock-up. Sorry, I should set a new timer. I think you're having characters be full color and the backgrounds are limited to 2 to 3 hues with simple shading. Took me about an hour and a half to draw this. Does that seem reasonable? Oh yeah, that seems pretty reasonable for a webcomic. I mean, um, honestly, how much time it takes you is really up to like what you're comfortable with. I know I do go on a lot about how like you should be working quickly in comics because they take so long. But if you need to like take more time to like make it what you need it to be, then take all the time you need. Like I'm taking forever with 9 Point. Um, but I do like your thinking behind having really simple colored backgrounds. I think that will save you lots of time. And it'll save you more time as you get more used to it. Because usually, with my experience with making comics, is like it starts out really slow and kind of like you're meticulous about everything, but as you start to like get better at it and get more familiar with what you're doing, it becomes kind of muscle memory, and you go through it really, really quickly. So whatever you can do to shave off time now will really help you in the future. So using, I guess like monochrome or really simple colors for backgrounds will really help, especially because backgrounds can be really detailed, and toning down how many colors you put in can really help shave off time. And I also like if you're adding foreground characters having like lots of colors to them, that will definitely help them pop against the background, which I think is also a really good idea for getting the focus on characters when you need it. I'd also recommend doing that treatment to if there's like important objects, or maybe if you're doing like a full background scene, putting special colors on whatever you want the focus to go to, so that in your stories, I guess like color language, the anything that has like really striking colors is something to be looked at, whereas stuff that's just kind of like 2 to 3 colors is just background noise. You don't have to focus on it, and that's definitely something you could play with.
Also, you don't have to have a consistent level of detail through every page.
True.
I was reading manga, as you all know, and
Manga boy McKay.
like even without chibis, there's like a certain level of like detail that goes on like the most exciting splash pages compared to like your average page.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For
And
sure.
even Ursula does that too. It's a comic thing.
Yep. It's, yeah, because I've talked about it before where you'll have like specific panels or pages that need a lot of focus because something important is really happening. Where that is where your detail should go. Whereas like a small panel that's just like a reaction shot, or I don't know, people walking down a hallway or something, like not something important. It's more there to just kind of like hoist up dialogue or something like that. Then you don't need to put as much detail or effort into it. Especially if you're working by yourself on a comic. Like, don't worry about every panel being super detailed. So moving on, so I don't run out of time. You submitted 2 little examples of like different amounts of detail. One you called your usual style, prose, more realistic, able to be serious, more variety in characters and features. They have noses. Cons, it takes longer. It would probably take an hour per panel on average using this style. I'm not very confident with it, and it's stiffer. Then the second example, prose, it's cute, relaxing, less pressure, much quicker, it's very expressive. Cons, it's less serious, no noses, everyone looks like a baby. I don't think they look like babies. I think, honestly, when I was looking at these, I thought you could utilize both of them pretty easily. Because they both, like, they feel like they're your style, even though one is maybe, like, your more typical one and one is more simplified. Where I feel like you could use the simplified one for...
Comedy.
Yeah, for comedy. For scenes where maybe the characters are smaller, there's not much going on, so you need less detail on them. Whereas, like, if you're doing, like, a close-up on their face, you might want to use the more realistic, serious-looking style, so you can show different tones throughout your comic as well, because not everything needs to be the same exact level of detail, depending on what tone you're going for. Obviously, if it's, like, a serious scene where big important stuff is happening, you might want to use something that's more like expressive and maybe more grounded, whereas if you're doing something that's like quirky and fun, you can go more cartoony. And it sounds like your comic has like a good balance between like more serious, dramatic stuff and then more Pierce being silly. um, so yeah, I think you could utilize both. I would go with whichever is easier for you. But honestly, if I saw both of these within one comic, I wouldn't be startled. I wouldn't think it's like a completely different story or tone. Yeah. You might also find that if you start with the one that's more detailed, as you keep going with the comic, it'll get faster to make it and get it up to the same like quality as before, where it might take you longer. Just again, because as you draw these characters more and more and draw the comic more and more, it becomes more muscle memory and you're able to draw things more quickly. So yeah, I think both will work. I hope that's not like an unhelpful answer. You're like, no, help me decide. But yeah, do you have any questions or anything? Oh, sorry, pardon me. Sleepy.
Woo.
Woo.
Awooga.
Oh yeah, for people asking, it's for Patreon supporters only. So if you sign up for Patreon now, you'll be in the next stream. Not this one, unfortunately. Yeah, do whichever. Best advice. I think that's it. Okay.
Oh, well, it's time.
Time's up.
So now do 3 more, Ursula.
Oh gosh. Oh heck.
Because I only got 1 more. And then I guess I got PKs too.
Yeah. Okay, so let's do JKs. Let's get this done. Woo. Woo.
Meow, meow, meow.
Okay. So.
So. Your seeds. In the ground.
Okay. So, from what you mentioned on the Discord, you said that you started with a more realistic style, like this one example up here. You said with some client work. So, you've studied like realism and you're looking to simplify things. And it sounded like you also wanted to save time because you said that these comic pages here took like 12 to 15 hours each, which is a long time. And I understand if you want to quicken that up a lot. So you said you wanted some advice for simplifying your style and working faster. And then you also submitted these faces and we're looking for some feedback on the style and such. I'll start with talking about the faces you submitted, and then maybe I can go into like simplifying and working faster. Okay, so these are some heads I made recently. There's no story in particular. They're part of the same family, and I'm trying to cover various age groups. So first off, I think you were able to cover a lot of different age groups really clearly with these, even though it is like a very simple style. And they also feel like they're in the same style. Like it doesn't feel like your style has completely changed depending on what type of character you're drawing. They've also got like really great form to them. Like despite like they are like obviously they're not as like rendered as the piece you did above, but they still feel like they have volume, like especially in the hair, in the faces. I feel it most with the older characters you've drawn. I find the kids that you've drawn feel a bit more flat, and I think part of that, I think, is because you're trying to keep like that youthfulness to them, where like the smooth skin and like the really round features. Whereas like some of the older characters, like you can put in like cheekbones and lines on their face, and more kind of defined shapes like jaw shapes, and stuff like that, where the kids feel a bit more, what's the word? Like I feel like they have less detail because they're meant to feel like very youthful. But I think you can keep the youthfulness because you've got the proportions there. They still feel like kids, especially when compared to like the adult characters. But I think you need to like lean into that roundness and maybe render it like a smidgen more. I notice it most on this guy's hair and face and around his eyes. They feel very flat. And I think the eyes in particular feel flat just because with some of the older characters, the eyes aren't as big, so they don't need as much rendering as when they are so large, where they feel a little flat because they're missing some of that like shadow and highlight that you have elsewhere on the characters. And that's something that also comes in like if you're doing a close-up on a character, obviously like small details of their face might need more rendering so they don't feel flat. But that just depends on like what you're going for each picture or panel or whatever it is. But yeah, I think this is a really solid style. It's very expressive. Like I said, I really like how you can show lots of varying ages while it's still feeling like a consistent style. Like I can kind of guess like all their ages. Like these two feel like young kids. This guy feels like a teenager, maybe a 20-year-old. Same with this girl. This woman feels like an adult, but maybe on the younger side. Same with this guy. These two feel like maybe like in their 40s or 30s, whereas this feels like a slightly older woman, like maybe 40s or early 50s. I don't know. But yeah, very good range of things. I like how much you've simplified it, especially compared to like up here where everything is like very highly rendered. And it still looks good. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, I like how you've really simplified things down while still keeping lots of the shape that you defined when you do more of that rendered style. So I noticed in your comments that you were really worried about like the simplifying not showing enough, but I think you've got a really good balance of it. Like, is there something about your work that you were maybe not so sure about, that you want me to look at more? Because like, yeah, when I was looking at your comments, you sounded very like, what's the word? Like you weren't very confident with your stylization, but I think it's a really great start at it. So yeah, so let me know.
Hello.
Hello.
Saying hi to Woot Woot.
Oh, hey, Woot Woot.
There is a Discord, yes.
Yes.
It's always bopping in there.
Heck yeah.
It's not crazy, it's just bopping. We need one more vote on the catacombs, guys.
Won't stop.
Guys, we need one more vote on the catacombs.
Hi, Bob.
Hello.
I wasn't really sure of the new style. I don't feel that conviction in my new style. That might be just because it's new. I guess I should just do more of it. I know it's really hard when you're starting something new. I felt that way about like working with 9-point, where because for the longest time I've done like this really like heavy line style. I've never drawn like anthros or furries before I started 9-point, so starting doing like a more of like lineless rendered style, it was weird and hard, and I was very not confident. And honestly, every time I start a new batch of 9-point, I'm not very confident with it, but the more you do it, like the easier it gets. And like I was saying to Ace before, the more you do something, the faster it'll get. I think what also might help you with speeding up your process is because like looking at every panel on this one up here, like every part of it is like highly rendered, even tiny panels. And don't get me wrong, it looks good. Like, I think you've done a really good job with these. But if you want to save time, you might want to take smaller panels that require less detail and omit as much detail as possible. For example, if you were redoing this panel, you could simplify it down to just like a silhouette of this guy approaching and maybe a few beams of light, and just suggest some of the brickwork instead of adding it all in, and just cutting away details. And start out by cutting out like too much. I think that might help you kind of get into the mindset of it. Or try to show as little as possible while still getting the idea across, and then slowly add more detail as you need it. Because if you show it to someone and they're like,
You seem like you need water.
oh, it's like, do you need water?
Your throat seems really like squish, squish. Hydrate. Okay,
so if you show it to someone and they're like, I don't understand what is going on here, then add in more detail. And it'll be slow at first because simplifying things, it's simpler in the long run, but getting there is really hard and it takes a while to build it up. But once you kind of get the hang of it, it'll make things go way, way faster. So yeah, really play around with it and see how simple you can get it while still portraying the information that you need to. But I think these characters that you've done, it's a really great start. I'd be curious to see maybe how the style translates into comics, because from like character design wise, I think you've done a really good job. I think the coloring style is really simple. The way you have like a simple highlight and simple shadows, it still shows lots of forms. When you don't have someone telling you what you should do, there's a tendency to overwork everything. But that is some great insight. Okay. I agree. Yes. It is very easy to overwork something when you don't have like anyone to give you feedback on it. So I'd recommend just like checking out like maybe our Discord or a friend or anything like that to just say like just to check in and get general feedback. And it is hard if you don't know like other artists and stuff. But the Discord might help. We've got lots of cool art people there who can help give you advice if you need someone to check in with. See, my problem, I have the opposite problem where I underwork everything, and there's lots of places where I need to add in more detail.
Mm-hmm.
I'm your opposite, my friend.
Is that everything?
I think so. Do you have any questions that I didn't cover, Jay?
Or should we move on to the next one? Let us know.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm going to drink more water.
Good. Hydrate the vocals. Man, it's almost 2020.
Heck. It was really hard to simplify for sure. The newness of it was daunting. That's fair. I feel you. My friend. Let's move on. Okay. Cool. Okay. So we have Hex. And we have PK. Okay, I saw Hex's name. Let's do yours.
Hex.
Aw, heck. It's Hex.
Aw, Hex.
Okay. So, time to start the clock.
Clogs.
Okay. Colors are not entirely accurate considering limited options when working traditionally. Also, the camera changed them. Oh, yeah. It's Vin. Character Vin. Right, because we saw them last time where you had them in all the peacock-inspired clothing. Got inspired by a dress I saw. Also, no specifics. I just want to critique on all of these just in general. Okay. Okay. Oh, whoa. Hi, Photoshop. Where are we going?
Oh no.
Oh, no. Okay. To start off, I really like the details in the hair. I was staring at that for a while where it's like, oh, I love the little details. I love the form. It feels very like full and voluminous. It's really good. Whereas like it's got like the good shape to it, and it's also got nice little rendering of like the little braids in it. It's all good. Makes it feel very 3D and real. I like it. It's really cute. Again, I really like your traditional inks. They feel very like solid and because your work already has that really solid form to it, so I feel like that really helps solidify it more, I guess. But yeah, very lovely. Good inks, especially around the face. I love like the jaw and nose and lips area right here. I especially love how it's like the major shadow areas are lined, but then like the lips aren't all rendered in like black ink. You've got the red and stuff. That looks really nice. I think you've got a good balance of like knowing what parts to line and what to leave to like color, or I put this in specifically because you wanted to see more of it. Very good. Thank you, Hex. I appreciate that because it's so good. I like your traditional inks. But you've got a very good eye for where to line things and where to leave it up to other elements to show things. I think oh, pardon me. Sorry. Um
Hmm.
I think one area where I think aligning it would have helped is on these bows here. The inside of them feels like the details on them, it feels a little low contrast, especially when surrounded by like the fields of black for the rest of the clothing. Whereas I think if you'd lined the at least like the little tie portion in the middle of the bow, just to give them a bit more form, because they kind of blend in with everything. That's one little thing, possibly. That could make it, I guess, feel a little more consistent or pop more. I'm not sure. Mm-hmm.
Hums and thought.
I think there's some small little proportion issues going on. I think the head feels a little too big. This arm in particular feels a little strange. I'm not exactly sure what it is. I think there's a little bit too much of a crease in the elbow here. Possibly. I'm not sure. There's something a little off about the form there. I'm not exactly sure what it is. It might also just be the proportion of the forearm, but I'm not sure. Something to keep in mind for future drawings. I was torn on that. I went with the option I can go back over because of that first. That's a good idea. I can still add in the lines. Yeah. That's good thinking. You can always go back and add in more lines. It's harder to take them away. But yeah, really good. I like the like I said, I really love your balance between where you put lines and where you just leave it up to the colors and values to differentiate things. Because I think if every little thing is lined, it can feel a bit excessive, especially when you have like color to kind of show form and express things as well. So very good balance of that. Do you have any questions for this one? Oh, sorry. I booped my mic.
Boop, boop.
I'm going to drink some water.
Sip, sip. It's a cool character design.
Agreed. Oh, stretch.
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 Get her on the rack and stretch her out.
No!
Ka-chink, 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 ka-chink.
No! I would have had to search for a thinner pen if I wanted to do that. That's fair. Oh,
Snack
time's
time,
up.
but
Oh,
too
snack time. I thought it was time's up.
long. No, it's
I
snack
can move
time.
on? Okay. My newest OC, they're a fear entity, but also a friend.
Same.
Sorry, I keep hitting my mic.
Why are you doing that? What did the mic ever do to
I'm
you?
bit booping. I'm sorry. I'm
Bip
sorry.
booping.
They're cute
I like it.
and creepy. Very good. Like I like this expression down here where they look like a little lost puppy and you've hurt their feelings or something, but also they're kind of scary and off-putting. But I'm sure they're nice. Yeah, I like the expressions. They all feel very like there's something like a little off about all of it. I think it's just like everything's like a little bit uncanny. I think you've done that really well. Or just like the eyes are like too big and the mouth is just a little too big. And yeah, it's nice. It's a good little monster design. And they still can do like silly, cute little expressions and smiles, but also have like more serious, scary monster vibes. I forgot to put in a clear, bigger thing to show their arms properly. Ah, well. I'm not sure what they're doing here. Looks like they have like a bird, maybe? A will? They got 2 elbows? Excuse me? So they've got like a little bit in the middle? Hold on. Hold the phone. So they've got arm. And then arm. And then arm. And then hand? Excuse me? Holding a burp. Oh, the other hand is over it. Oh, okay. Did I get this correct? Looking for a sketch real quick. Bless. Okay, I did get it right. Heck dang. I like it. 10 out of 10. I like... Again, I find like you're very good with structuring things. Like, there's some parts of it that do feel like a little bit flat, just depending on like what the sketch is. For example, like their hair here feels kind of flat. But again, some of these just seem like little doodles and stuff. But I like how here you can see like the little folds in the neck. And there's something about just the way you've like sketched the jaw and the neck that it feels like very round and voluminous. Same with this one in particular. I think it's just like the weight you've added to some of these lines. It just implies that there's like shadow there, which is a very cool little effect that you've done with just like a few lines. So well done. I will go see what is the sketch. Here is sketch. Those are some arms. If I ever saw them. But yeah, it's a cute character. This Pan's Labyrinth looking hecker. Noodle arms.
All the little ones were sleeping upstairs.
Oh, they're babies.
Oh, Multi is like super asleep.
Aww. Poor kitty. She's sick, so she's in the bathroom.
Yes.
But yeah, overall, cute character design. 10 out of 10. Do like. Mini arm for big hug. Best hugs.
Cute.
Cute is the word for sure. They're a friend.
Be good to monsters.
Just because you a fear entity doesn't mean you can't be a cute friend.
Yes.
So yeah, let me know if you have any questions, Hex. I wish my arms were that long. Bless. Imagine how far you could reach. You could reach the top shelf. Anywhere. Ooh, woo. Okay, we're almost out of time.
Yeah, you should move on to the next one.
Okay. If only Photoshop.
Would let me do things.
Please.
It reversed the shift thing again.
It's because you're working in two different versions.
I am?
There's a 2017 one on my computer and a 2019 version. And the
That's
2019
so confusing.
has the shift flipped.
Ugh, it's so annoying.
I know. I hate it. It keeps happening to me at work, and every time I'm like, rah! Okay. Start. Okay. Some TMA, AU, silent. What is TMA?
What the heck is TMA? Explain. We're boomers. Help us out. Okay, continue. While they answer, though.
Okay. Won't say more because I don't accidentally want to spoil anyone for the podcast. These are all pulled out of a draw pile with my friend, so extra rough because I don't get along with draw pile very well. I know exactly what shifting you mean. It's the worst. Heck, I could reach you in Canada. The Magnus Archives. Okay, I don't know what those are. I'm sorry.
A horror podcast.
Oh. Okay. Heck.
Okay, continue, Ursula. Too much anime, TMA.
Too much anime.
I'm not letting you out, you muncher.
Fado. He's trouble. Okay. The expressions are nice. I like the energy you've got going on in these. There's just, I think, like, there's just something about the way they've been sketched that feels just, like, alive about it. Like, it just feels very full of movement. But, Yeah, looks good. I like the expressions. I like this expression in particular. Um, is cute.
I like it.
I like it. Um, as well as his smile here. It's creepy, but also nice. Question mark. um,
Critiques.
critiques.
Critique things. Torso short or something. Something like what's going on there? Something's weird.
This picture.
Yeah, first one.
Yeah, I think it's a proportion thing again. I think it's less so with the other two. They feel a bit better proportioned. But I think in this first one, let's redline this. Let's see. So there's his head. His neck definitely feels very long. Because I think it should be like shortened to about half of what that is. Like, don't get me wrong, like necks are pretty long, but they're usually shorter than you think, I guess. Like I had trouble with it at first where I was like, I would draw the necks very long. But you don't actually see very much neck between head and shoulders.
I see a lot of neck.
Yeah, so I think his neck's a bit too long. I think his arms feel very short, and I think it might just be his... I think it's probably just because the head is so tall, where like from the top of the hair to like the bottom of the neck is like the same size as the torso, the same height, whereas like the head is usually like half that size. And I think that his actual head is, but just with like the length of the neck, it really kind of throws things off. So I think that's what's throwing it off. It makes it feel a little strange. So yeah, definitely if you brought its head down, would feel more in proportion. But yeah, I think his arms, I don't know. I can't tell if they're too short or too long. Yeah, I think his torso might be too short as well, at least in comparison to the arms. Because I think his torso should end down here, maybe not up here. Then his legs begin. Possibly. I don't know. Something's off. It's throwing it off. My upper arms and forearms are the same thickness. I have no muscle. Yeah, I'm not happy with the sketch on that one. Oh, that's fair. Yeah, it's just something to keep in mind that, because I know you've had a little difficulty before with, like, drawing large heads. I do, too. I do it with all my stuff and have to end up resizing it every time. But yeah. Yeah. But yeah, just sometimes I find it helps to like draw the body first before drawing the head and just kind of gesturing in where the head will be, just because I find drawing the head first can throw off the proportions everywhere else. Honestly, I think it's possible I fricked that up because it was at the bottom of the page. Oh yeah, that is a thing. That's when the edge of your canvas stunts your artwork. So it's very important that you have to like get practice with drawing out like full bodies and stuff. But if you ever hit the edge of your page, don't be afraid for like to have the picture just cut off. Don't worry about like trying to cram everything in before the page ends. One, it throws off proportions and can make things feel squished or crammed. But it also can create a more interesting composition if you kind of go off the edge and cut things off. I mean, obviously it depends on what you're cutting off, because you don't want the problem where, like, say you have a comic panel and everything is crammed in at the edge and there's all this empty space in the middle. But you know what I mean. I'm ranting here a little bit. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Overall, good work, cute characters. I like your line work. Bones and Fado are playing a intense game of fetch right now. To be honest, I decided to leave my heads a little bigger for now. I resized them for a bit, but I don't like how it looks. Obviously, I don't want them to be gigantic, though. It might just be the neck, then, because I don't think your heads are actually, like, the wrong size. I think it's just the necks are very long. Yeah. So, I don't know. Just keep playing around with it, see what you like. Honestly, don't listen to me if I'm telling you something that you're like, I don't like how it looks at all. So, yeah. Yeah, because you know what you want to do with your style more than me.
You have one more art thing to do?
Yeah, I do. I have one more. JK, you have a question? Let me know your question. And then I can move on to PK's stuff.
Do someone other than PK.
There's no one else?
Oh, no one else.
Okay, well, I'm going to answer a question for Jay.
No one else other than, like, the script.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just PK and V are left.
I'm just playing with my son. He's really into it. All he was doing was smelling stuff outside.
Oh,
I just have to
Fado.
go.
He's
bored.
I'm so bored. It's like, all my friends are gone, and you guys are just talking online.
I can't have online friends. I'm a dog.
Maybe I'll try shortening the necks if I notice them long. Yeah. What are your thoughts on lineless art style? I like lineless stuff. If you're working in a lineless style, I think you have to be very aware of your contrast between different objects or sections, I guess. So for example, if you're drawing, say, like a character who has I don't know, brown skin, and they're wearing a brown shirt, you want to make sure that it's not the same value so that it looks like they are wearing a shirt, so it doesn't blend in with their skin or something. And obviously, like, that goes for, like, small details and stuff. You want to make sure there's good contrast between different parts of the design or drawing. Oh no! Sorry, Bones just threw the toy onto a shelf and maybe broke one of his animal skulls.
No.
Okay. It's not broken?
No. It just... The jaw.
The jaw detached.
The jaw detached.
Oops.
Can you imagine if a soft plush toy burger destroyed a skull?
Perennial Aurum style. I'm not familiar with that one. It borders too much on graphic design rather than illustration. I don't think there's a clear difference between graphic design and illustration, because graphic design can use illustration. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Because graphic design is more like composition and placement of objects, for illustration, like, I don't know. That's a whole question, isn't it? What's the difference between, like, illustration and graphic design? Fado, go get the toy. Wrong spelling of her name. But yeah, lineless style, just be careful of your contrast. If you're looking for, like, lineless style that still has, like, really good 3D forms, yeah, Cucumber Quest. I was gonna say GGDG's work is really great. Some of her stuff will use lines, because I think depending on the style you're using, you might need to use the occasional line, but her stuff like has really great form, really great color, good contrast, and a lot of it is lineless.
Scurry's good too.
Sorry?
Scurry?
Scurry? Yeah, Scurry's good too.
Scurry is like too much.
Yeah, Scurry's very highly rendered, whereas Cucumber Quest is more simplified.
Yeah.
It's too much lassoing and filling instead of brushstrokes. Well, yeah, but you could have illustration that has 0 brushstrokes. Like, that doesn't make it graphic design. Yeah. Because you can have illustration that's, like, literally just, like, paint bucket fills.
Like Eric Carr.
Eric Carr?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Hungry Caterpillar, that's still illustration, even though it's just cut out.
Yep.
Shapes.
Yep. Lasso and filling is valid. Sometimes I do a line subject with a lineless background. Yeah, totally. There's so much stuff.
Oh, sorry.
How dare you hit your mic?
Graphic design is just designing graphics. It doesn't even have to be just shapes, you know?
Yeah, true.
Because you can get really vintage style graphic design that's just like watercolor and stuff.
Yeah, true.
It doesn't have to be just shapey. Graphic design is more like what your product is for rather than illustration.
Yeah, because you can include illustration in a piece of graphic design.
Yeah. Ursula's a graphic designer.
Yeah.
Well, she's actually an illustrator.
I'm an illustrator.
She's a marketing illustrator who does graphic design.
Yeah.
And UX.
Basically, yeah. Yeah, because my illustration work that I do for my day job, like, a lot of it is illustration work, but it's also mixed with graphic design. Where, like,
anyways,
this
is like a whole other topic.
We could do a whole video on this.
Yeah. And we got 2 more to do, and I'd really like to leave and and have my afternoon snack.
Oh, this is hungry. Okay. Let's do PK's work. I'm coming for you, PK.
Ooh, woo. It's good. I liked it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Figured we'd get that over.
Yeah, it's good. I liked it. Yeah, it had lots of really cute moments that made me giggle. What part was it that I liked? I like when the thief shows up and just whacks him in the head. I thought it was really cute. Yeah. I can get more into art stuff, but I liked Marco. He seems dumb and cute, and I like him. And I like the dynamic between him and the thief. You're gonna just show all the pages. Sorry, I won't go through all of the pages. I'll just show.
You're not going outside, you little butthole.
Fado, stop being a butthole.
He didn't even pee. He just sniffed every corner of the yard.
Fado.
Okay, we have to get through 2 things.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I'll stop.
Okay. Sorry, I won't show all your pages. I'll just show ones where I think there's a good example of what I'm talking about. So overall, I think you had really nice flow throughout these pages. I think these are really good. These are a really good example of what to do with thumbnails, where they're very rough. You don't have to go into details about like what all the characters look like. You're just showing kind of like how the flow works, what the main action is, where speech bubbles go. But yeah, I think these are very good to illustrate how thumbnails should work. Your flow is really great. It's very easy to tell kind of where to look next. It's pretty easy to tell what's going on in each panel, despite like the lack of detail because they're thumbnails, obviously. It also does really help having the dialogue because there's some like context clues. Like I found I was very confused by this page in particular, but I'm sure when there's more detail, I'll be able to understand what's going on more, and later they talk about how there's fire and stuff. So it's like, okay, cool. But yeah. Stop. What are you doing? Bones, pay attention.
I am.
You're-
You weren't saying any words. How am I supposed to pay attention to nothing? God, just keep talking. Can I just look at stupid anime things and not be judged?
Okay. The one thing that stuck out to me was speech bubble placement. I found some of the time they were placed in a way that made them feel like they were being like shoved aside, and I think there's some panels you might need to rearrange. Let me see if I can quickly find one that I'm thinking about. Here's one. This is one that it really stuck out to me, where it feels like you have your speech bubbles are just kind of like shoved into the corner. So like this one up here, this one down here. The ones in this big panel I don't mind as much because they feel like they take up a big focus. But I think you maybe need to like move your character in more so that you can give your speech bubbles more room around them to breathe. This little panel here in particular, it feels like the speech bubble is being shoved out of it to give room for the character, where I think you could rearrange things so you can show both the character's face and the speech bubble. I always have one page with all the dialogue on it, and the layout takes forever. It does. You got to be careful with where you put your dialogue so that everything is read in the right order, and you can also see what's going on with the characters. But yeah, I think you've got a good balance of like panel size and stuff, but I think you just need to. It's hard because you shouldn't be afraid of covering up artwork with speech bubbles, but you also need to give the artwork and the bubbles room to breathe. It's a really hard balance. For this one in particular, I would move the speech bubbles. Can I mark this up? I don't think I can in this view. Heck. Maybe if I open it.
I'm distracted by Fado more than I am Twitter.
But yeah, I'll just show you real quick. Oh no.
Real quick. Proceeds to destroy reality.
I'm sorry.
Bring me the burger, I'll throw it. No, don't bring Ursula the burger.
Mom, throw burger.
Fado, I'll throw the burger. Stop walking away.
Okay.
He just wants to play with burger. Bring it over here. Come here.
So for example, I'd bring in like your speech bubble in here. This one should be fine. I would move the person down to maybe here, and then move your speech bubble here. Could even take up more space. Could be like this. You could also move your character here, possibly. Speech bubble there. I don't know. You can play around with that a lot. I'd also move the person in a little bit away from the speech bubble here, and you can even bring these like down in some more. And you can play around with having like the speech bubbles direct you around the panel a little bit. Obviously, you don't have to take these like exactly, but just some advice. Just bring things in a bit more, like your character doesn't always have to be like in the center of the page. And this bottom one in particular, I'd keep him in the center and use the speech bubbles to create more interest in the composition. But yeah. Don't be afraid to have the dialogue as like the main focus of a panel if you have lots of it, because that's totally okay. I always have Do you guys think a comic that is exclusively same shaped panels is gonna feel boring? No, I don't know. That's like a pacing device you can use. Anyways, but yeah, that was I think my one issue with it, because overall you've got like a good balance between like close-up shots and action shots. You've got a good balance of like using different panel sizes and layouts. I think it's just the dialogue needs to be placed a little bit more in focus, and it depends on the page too, because you have some where like they're placed really well. Let me see. Let me find a good one.
I'm not letting you out. I already let you out. Like, don't look at me like that. I get it, you're bored, but
Like this one here is placed really well, where it feels like the dialogue is given its own space and feels like really blended in with the page really well. Whereas like some of the early ones I was looking at, like here, things feel like they've been shoved off to the side to show the action. I find sometimes it can help to draw in the bubbles before I start drawing in the characters so that I can figure out how to place them around the necessary speech bubbles. You can try out a whole bunch of different things. But yeah, as for like the pacing, like the visual pacing, everything felt really great. You had lots of good little comedic bits. Like I said, the action was very easy to understand. I was never confused about like who's that or what's going on, just because everything was laid out very clearly. Do you have any comments about it, Bones?
no.
Oh, thank you for helping me.
Yeah, it's good. I just agree with you mostly. I've found some things confusing just because thumbnails always kind of confuse me a bit. And it was mostly just composition things that kind of got to me. It felt very Is it like a short comic? Because it feels like a short comic.
Vito, no one asked your opinion.
I guess it could be a long comic now that I think about it.
Yeah, could be the first chapter of a thing.
It's true. It was very silly.
Yes, it's very silly.
It was very light.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, Bones. So helpful. I don't have it with me right now. Otherwise, I'd look at it.
This is the whole thing?
This is the whole thing? Like, everything we read was the whole thing? Or is there more?
Because if this is all there is, I was a little confused by the ending. It felt like the end of a chapter or like cutting off in the middle of something.
Yeah.
So yeah, let us know.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, no spoilers.
No spoilers. I won't try and spoil.
But yeah, the ending felt a little abrupt. That's how all my shorts end.
I'd have to look at it again.
Yeah, I'd have to reread it because it felt like it was setting.
It definitely felt like a chapter.
Yeah.
Or like the ending hadn't happened yet.
Yes.
To me.
I usually put a ton of doodles after for the print version. Oh, okay. Yeah, it felt... Because I know like it ends with a punchline, but it felt like it was setting up another adventure.
Oh, yeah. I still don't quite understand why the bandit wanted the bottles or what they did. And how that relates to like any of their character arcs.
Yeah. Because it felt like it was building up a relationship for them to go on future adventures.
Yeah. And building up the aspects of the jars.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, yeah, these childs have another comic later if I want. Yeah, maybe. Like, I can see it working. Like, it's not...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It just felt kind of abrupt. If I picked up this comic, I'd assume that there is going to be, like, a sequel to it.
Yeah.
Is the impression I got. They show up in other stories doing stuff. Okay. I see.
Yeah. So take it as you will. It feels a little abrupt to me.
I don't quite understand what the main character's arc is entirely. So maybe they're not the one who's supposed to have kind of the arc. I'll do it if I have time, but I have too many characters who need comics. That's fair.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily mean change this. It's just something to
No.
keep in mind
Yeah.
for future stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have any questions or anything we didn't cover, PK?
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Fado. Fado! Fado.
What's he doing?
Licking my feet. You're gross.
Gross foot boy.
Stop. You gross boy. I don't think I planned this with an arc. It literally only exists for the punchline. Oh, I'm
Okay.
sorry. Give Fado cuddles.
Expected most of it. Okay.
Okay. Cool, cool, cool.
Okay.
But yeah, it looks good.
The last one is for V.
Yes.
So let me critique V so I can go home.
We're in our home right now.
Mentally, I want to go home.
Okay.
When I'm in the stream chair, I'm not at home. I'm at work. It's this compartmentalizing thing you do when you're self-employed and work at home.
Oh, true.
There's workspace and there is non-workspace. We also have to record like 3 videos.
Oh, heck.
We should just leave everything set up. Because last time I said leave everything set up, you put it all away for some reason. I was like, oh, okay. You're like, why? Why would you? I was like, okay, it's fine. Okay. I was about to just read it to you.
Just read your script.
In
On
eternal
screen.
mood. So we are sorry. We're like on the 3rd section of the story that you have sent us, I believe. I'm gonna start with positives because that's what you do. I'm really liking the relationships that you're building up. I can see the shipping clearly between Darius and the boy. I like the characterization of a lot of the characters and how they come across. Sorry, I like that Darius has a very strong voice where they're kind of like unassured in themselves and they sometimes come out of their little shell a bit. I like Key. I don't know. I can't pronounce names. We all know this. I like them. They felt very like a man friend. I don't know if they're a man, but they have man friend vibes. Just bros hanging out. I very much enjoy that. I found the scene with Skylar and Darius early on. Wait, sorry. Let me think. I liked the fight scene with the person that shows up at the bar. I thought that was a good fight scene. And I like Elle. Very self-assured and cute. I like it's K? Okay, K. Yeah. It's good. It's a lot of the same stuff I like throughout it. I also liked that a lot of the scenes did feel like they had a strong arc to them. It always felt like there was a beginning, middle, and end to your scenes, which was really nice. Had a nice flow to them. However, I did find myself very confused about the chronology of how things connect. At some point, it says there's a flashback to Elle needing like headphones, and then Darius goes to Skylar's house, and I couldn't tell if that was in the past or the future, because if it was in the past, it didn't really make sense to me. because the way that Darius and Skylar were talking seemed as if uh, Skylar hadn't really seen Darius fight before, because he seemed very surprised when he was able to fight with such creativity, right? But if it's in the future, um, but if it's in the future, I'm a little confused. I'm less confused and more kind of disappointed, because I'd like to see their relationship blossom. Like I'm really enjoying the interactions between them and the build up of their relationship. I really enjoyed the moment where he's like, oh wow, he he can do the dance thing, and it really seems like Skylar's going to get him out of his comfort zone and into things again. And I think that's a really strong character arc to pursue. But if that scene happened in the future, it just seemed a little too fast, and I'd really like to see them discuss kind of what happened. I feel like you need a bit of more scene sequel to the big fight scene in the bar. There was a bit of one while they're getting the taxi, um, but I'd like more. And I there was one scene that ended very abruptly, which felt kind of cheap to me, where Elle goes in to explain. Oh, hang on, the flashback is just to a super quick phone call to prompt Darius. Okay. Um, okay, that's the thing. It did feel he was like a little too quick then to get uh, back into dance so quickly. If it felt like there needed to be there was some tension. There's tension between Darius and doing dance and duel again. It felt a little too quick for him to just be like, yeah, sure, I'll duel you, Skylar. Like, I think there's like a scene or two missing in between like that before he's able to kind of take that leap. Or maybe they could start by doing something other than dueling, and then dueling happens, you know? It just feels like really quick for him to pick up the sword again, especially with the amount of like um, uh, pressure on him from his past or whatever. Like I can see throughout it that you still have it weighing down on him, but I think he was just it just seems a little too quick for him to go back into dance, even just a duel. Um, yeah. Uh, there's something about L. Oh, I wanted to know how the scene between L and Skylar ends. Um, that makes sense. I'm not quite sure how to pad it out effectively. Any suggestions? Um, I think I think one scene that definitely feels like it was missing was Skylar and okay, so after the bar scene and they kind of chill out after it, it feels like there's a little bit of unresolved uh conflict there where I feel like if I beat up someone in a bar and there was some suggestion that those two knew each other, like I'd want to know like what your relationship is between them. And I also think like I was saying, there's like a scene with Elle and Skylar that happens, and Elle asks Skylar like why Darius is so afraid to dance, and then it just kind of cuts off. And I think it would be really nice if you sort of explain if you actually went into the explanation, because even though we have hints at it, um, it would be really nice to have like a solid understanding of like what happened, because I think keeping it hidden, if it's like a big reveal, like maybe, but I think we know enough about it that it'd be nice to have the full story of it, or at least part of the full story, or at the very least, I want to know what Skylar knows going into talking with Darius and going into the dance. So proper spell it out. Yeah. I think if I know what Skylar knows, and then we go into the scene, and um, I just knowing what each other's goals are and how you can get into like getting Darius back into dance, that'd be a lot nicer. Just spell out their motivations a bit more, and that might work. Um, yeah. Um, um, I want to know if the bar person ever comes back, like the person that they beat up in the bar, because it felt a little random if it doesn't come back. It or a little very slightly cliche. I'm not sure. Yeah, I guess knowing what Skylar knows isn't terrific terrifically obvious. Um, yeah, just the bar fight was like a little cliche, and I always get a little nervous about cliches, especially when they surround like um, touchy subjects like sexual harassment. Um, if it goes further, if it is explored further, that's fine. But I don't know, Ursula. I wasn't sure how to make it not seem too convenient.
Oh, like to give Darius an excuse to fight? Um,
I think my discomfort with it mostly comes from there's like a lot kind of associated with the trope of like beating someone up who is like sexually harassing someone else. Um, because for one, that's probably not the best way to deal with something like that in general. Um, whereas something like more on akin to like mugging or something, that's more justified.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Um,
it just adds a lot of dynamics, and if you're not looking to explore it fully, I I, I'd worry about that
yeah,
because it's much more likely if you're super drunk, like just you wander out for a smoke and something happens to you. Like especially since Skylar has all this stuff where it's like he's a rich guy in a crappy neighborhood. Like he is an easy mark if he's like super drunk. And
yeah,
you might avoid that unless of course you want to explore that element of his character. That's fine. I'd just be careful about it.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
because if you're gonna bring like sexual harassment into it, yeah, you definitely need to
Yeah.
address it or have more, I guess, more relationship between the.
Well, that would become come with the addressing it because it is,
Yeah, true.
yeah. It's just kind of can be triggering and stuff too.
Yeah, because you can,
Sometimes.
if the point is to have like Darius or Skylar see Darius fight, then you can have that in by just someone starts a bar fight,
Yeah.
or someone tries to mug Skylar, and then you can get rid of that element without having to
Yeah.
dive into it.
Yeah. Totally. If you're just looking for something quick, I wouldn't go straight to something like that.
Yeah.
The initial reason was like plainly address Skylar's habit of sleeping around. I think there comes like another issue with that where it I don't know. I just be careful with it. Like I think sleeping around is fine, but like punishing a character for it in that manner might have like some problematic aspects to it.
Yeah, because you can address a character like sleeping around a lot by just like an offhanded comment without
Yeah.
having to go
Or even
into.
problems with the relationship later on.
Yeah,
But having them be like threatened with a knife because of it feels a little much sometimes.
hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the last thing I had to there was like one more thing cuz that happened um hmm
Oh, did you mention when we were reading them fighting? You mentioned how you wish there was more overt
Sexual
flirting. Yeah.
tension. Yes. Okay. I did notice there is a thing with Skylar where I find whenever you get into I think at this point I pretty much understand most of what I need to know about dance. And a lot of the times when you slip into Skylar's talking, like I feel like everyone else has very strong characterization in how they talk. And when Skylar starts talking about dance, I tend to find he sounds like a video game character who has to explain the manual for a second. He's like, he'll be talking and then he'll be like, and remember, if you ever need to go to the menu, press like the A button. Like it feels like that when he's going into like dance is this blah 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 blah. I'm like, okay, Skylar, I see you have been possessed by the game manual for a second. And I think you just need to bring some more characterization when you're bringing that into it. And yeah, when they were fighting, I think you really need to push some of the sexual tension because in the previous fight they were constantly blushing at like I get that they're constantly blushing at each other, but you can move into the suggestiveness with it, I think, a little bit because like
flirting.
they're clearly into each other. I think you can push it a bit more. And I know what my final thing is. My final thing with the drunk scene, okay, is if he is this wasted, it's hard to believe how he's talking in the scene that follows, and the fact that Darius is willing to like just send him home in a taxi. They're just having a smoke break. For one, I might change it to like I don't know, give him some crackers or something, or like a bread or anything like bar food or something instead of like just having a smoke break, because you're going to be messed up after the amount of alcohol he's had. Because it's not just the amount, the fact that he wasn't able to like really comprehend what was going on at all. Like he seems really messed up, and the conversation that follows afterwards doesn't really follow through. And also, just just for the sake of like adding some like interest and some just something different, because I love doing this kind of stuff. Like when he talks to Elle the next morning, like make sure he has a ding dang hangover, because if you've been up drinking all night, he had one heck of a night, so he should not be forming the sentences that he is able to form about calculated like like I'm on like page 54 and he's going on a whole long paragraph about how he fought. Like how does he even remember if he's so messed? He was like barely comprehending what was going on. The fact that he can remember exactly that, I think you can get away with like just talking about the creativity of how he fought. Like, cut the paragraph down there, panel 7, page 55, and just all the pretty lights you saw. Yeah, okay. Yeah, he's really, yeah, I'd lean into that. If he's going to be that drunk, like make sure to follow through with like all the fun thing that goes along with being drunk, because it's fun writing drunk characters and it's fun writing hangovers, because you get to make your character suffer for their actions, but it's a little less consequential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Overall, very fun.
Yeah.
Very fun to read. I liked the dynamic between Skylar and Darius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just be careful about whenever Skylar goes on to talk about dance, because it does sound like the manual. It does sound a little like the author taking a moment, and I think it's perfectly fine to say what is being said. You just want to tweak how you say it to make sure it still sounds in character.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, I get that he's an instructor and he'll want to instruct. Because okay, sorry, I'm just rambling. Because even if you're like, oh no, now I just sound like a dance instructor, I'll stop. Like, that immediately adds tons of characters to something. It's like, blah, blah, blah. Oh no, I'm talking like a manual right now. Sorry, I'll stop,
Yeah.
I get it. You are a top tier dance instructor. Why am I explaining this to you? Yeah.
Me constantly.
Okay, so that's all I have to say.
Yeah. Very good. So that's everything.
I did it.
You did it.
I get to eat.
You can go home, Bones.
Thank you all for stopping by. I love you
Yeah.
all. Make sure to get your Secret Santas in if you have signed up for that.
Oh, yeah.
You have until Christmas Day. Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye. I guess we're leaving now. Let's go.
Yes. I'm just waiting for her to turn off the stream.
Sorry, it's more complicated than it used to be. Oh, Lord. Oh, no.
She's like super zoomed up because she has like the zoom in. Doop doop doop.
Okay, goodbye.
Man, their art is so silly. Oh no, is this mic on?
Stop.